Welcome back to my workshop at the start of another exciting project. Now last year I promised my dearly beloved I would make her a table for the garden. Now for years we've made do with those horrible sort of plastic ones that you buy from the DIY sheds. And they really are quite horrible. But they're cheap and they're cheerful and they do a job. But we can do so much better than that. So in the autumn last year I started playing with epoxy resin. It's not often you can use a sentence like that. And I made myself some resin panels. And I got 4 of these. I made them last autumn. And I've got a fern leaf and a couple of flowers. So therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to use up my 4 panels. I'm going to make my dearly beloved a table. And I shall get myself lots of brownie points in the process. And as every man would tell you, it's always a good idea to keep your dearly beloved happy. So as you can see, I've also got myself a nice big plank of western red cedar. So without any further ado, let's get cutting. So what we're going to do is going to make this, we'll joint all this together so it's all flat and on one level. And we end up with 4 little picture windows, or 4 little windows. And into each one, we're then going to inset one of these panels. So we'll have 4 panels, and I suppose really we better put a hole in the middle to put an umbrella through. That's going to look really good, isn't it? Well, at the moment it's showing promise, so let's see if we can now deliver on the promise. So all we're going to do now is joint this little lot together. Well, this is starting to look a bit more like it, but this is where it starts getting a bit more interesting. Having done all our joints that way, we've now got to start doing a few joints this way. So we've got to cut a mortise there, and then we're going to cut a halving joint in the centre here and on that one. So I've marked out my halving joint. I don't know if you can see it, and I've also scribbled across the top. And that's the bit I need to cut out. Now a tip when doing those, or cutting any joints really, don't cut on the line, cut on the inside of the line. And keep checking. Right, that's one done. Lovely. And then all you need to do now is to cut out that little bit there. You can do it with a chisel, or if you've got a router you can do it very quickly. Look at that, that's pretty damn good, isn't it? Anyone would think I know what I'm doing. So I thought it was getting complicated before, but now it starts getting very complicated. What we now need to do is to cut a 10mm rebate all the way down there and all the way along there on each side. But we also need to come in reasonably square. So now I need to router those out. Of course, it doesn't help that these start flat. That's the problem when you start casting things and you don't know what you're doing. So these are 15mm. So I've got to go down here 15mm. Okay, we can do that. Well, here we go, our first test assembly. And you can now start to see what I'm going for. I'm rather impressed with that. I think that's going to be rather good. So I just need to keep going for a little bit longer. I've got all these other bits to router out. It's going to take a little bit of while, but this is starting to look like a real table. I'm impressed. All I can say is it's a good thing it's for us, because I don't think I'd want to give this one away. There's a reason why I don't make videos for a living. One of those reasons is when I'm in the zone, I keep forgetting to stop to video the next bit. So whilst you weren't looking, I've cracked on. I made a lovely set of legs, as you can see. Best set of legs I've ever had. So I made a lovely set of legs, glued it all together. Now, there's nothing very fancy and clever, just more of the same. Lots of more mortise and tenon joints. You've seen me do a couple, that's quite enough. You don't need to see those as well. And I've fitted the top together just to see how it all fits. It's glued. It's all right. I'm happy. Now I'm sure you noticed I left this bit sticking out. When you're cutting tenons close to an edge, it's always a good idea to do this, and then you can come along later and trim it. So this whole table is built around the concept of these cast epoxy panels, or actually polyester resin panels, and they all need to be trimmed to fit, because in the moulding process the edges bow out, so they're ever so slightly a different size, which is most irritating. But there you are, these things are sent to try us. Now when you're working with polyester like this, you can sand it down, but obviously you then leave marks. So you have to start using finer and finer sandpaper, and then you get into wet and dry paper, and you should be at about sort of 2000 grit or something like that. So I can just ever so carefully do these. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but that's all right, we've got time. Right, so we've now got this ready to start finishing. So the first coat is going to be sanding sealer. And this is the first chance we get to see what it's actually going to look like. And that's starting to get a little bit of colour into it. Using cedar wood is a bit of a pain. It splinters very, very quickly. It splits, it disintegrates. All those things you really don't want. But it makes up for it by having the most superb colour. But you can start to see what it's looking like, and also a few places where I'm going to have to do a bit more work. So the whole point of a garden table is it needs to be able to support an umbrella. We'll give this a final sand down, and then I'm going to cover it with Danish oil. It will bring out the colour, and then it will weatherproof it as well. And then once that's had a couple of coats of that, then we're ready to put the panels back in here, and then we're close to finishing. It's looking good so far. Yeah, look. It's even flat as well. So there you are, the final finished table. I rather like that, I think it's rather good. Hopefully you've enjoyed both videos. If you do, remember to press the like button. And if you press the subscribe button as well, it makes an awful lot of difference to my life. If you like this video, go and have a look at some of the other ones on my channel. You never know, you might like those as well. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.